He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. And like let it hang in the air like that was self-evidently disgusting. And I was like, I kind of think submission to God is like the whole point of life, but I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't think I'm against that, actually.
This is
anyone who submits to God, like, I'm just for that.
Yes, Tucker is right. A Muslim literally means one who submits, that is to God. Just like Israel literally means one who struggles with God. And we'll shortly discuss the significant difference these two words, submission and struggle, make. But what does submission actually mean? It means recognizing that Allah is the creator, the only one worthy of worship and obedience. It means that He knows what is best for His creation far better than His creation, meaning us humans, know for ourselves. In practice, that means following what Allah commanded, praying, fasting in Ramadan, pilgrimage to Mecca, what is called Hajj, and so forth. These are all part of the Sharia law, the moral and legal code of Islam. So far doesn't sound so different from Judaism. Us Jews also follow God's law as described in the Torah, and we also recognize that He knows things we don't. This set of rules of commandments we follow is called halacha, which literally means the path in which you walk. However, there's an important difference between Jewish law and Muslim law. First, the Jewish law, the halacha, isn't static. It's been a subject of debate and interpretation since its inception, which has been documented in texts that are over 1500 years old, namely the Talmud and other Jewish texts. A well-known phrase in Hebrew that captures this culture of debate about the Torah says, Shivim panim laTorah. The Torah has 70 faces, meaning it has many interpretations. But maybe the most crucial difference between Judaism and Islam is the role humans play in it. While Judaism does accept the fact that God's wisdom is infinite and superior to ours, humans have a distinct role in refining the law and uncovering the truth behind it exactly by debating and quarreling over its meaning. Obedience is important, but so is personal responsibility and ethical reasoning. So while both religions follow divine authority, Islam prioritizes direct submission to the text, while Judaism incorporates more human agency in interpretation. For example, the book of Leviticus says that death penalty is the punishment for sins such as intercourse between two men or blasphemy. However, over the past 2,000 years, there has not been even one documented incident of Jewish communities executing another Jew or any person for that matter for homosexuality, blasphemy, apostasy, or any other violation that is stated in the Torah as deserving death penalty. That is because the halacha, the Jewish path, is evolving, and rabbis have added all sorts of restrictions that make it virtually impossible to actually arrive at a situation where this penalty would be executed. But can you guess how many such cases of killing another person for violating Sharia law there have been in Muslim countries and even in Muslim communities in the West? Let's start with the communities in the West because the documentation there is most reliable. And these are the numbers. In the UK alone, out of 2,949 cases of honor-based incidents in the year 2025, between 12 and 15 were killings. What does it mean, honor-based? It means incidents of doing justice with women who committed one of the following violations: adultery, unmarried women who had sexual relationships, women who were raped, and women refusing arranged marriages. Yes, women who were raped are being murdered by their brothers or father because it is forbidden for a woman to have sexual intercourse out of wedlock. And what were the other close to 3,000 honor-based incidents? Physical violence by the husband or family member, persistent patterns of threats or humiliation, threats to kill, again, by a family member, forced marriage, genital mutilation, and kidnapping. About 150 women were kidnapped on the basis of family honor in 2025 in the UK. The same phenomenon exists in the Muslim population in Israel as well. While Arab women make up only 21% of Israeli female population, they are accounted for 44% of all women murdered, more than double. But maybe Muslims who live in Islamic states will be better able to support Tucker's excitement over submission as the purpose of life. Unfortunately, the data doesn't leave much room for optimism. Now, we should take into account the fact that it is harder to keep track of the numbers in those countries because the state doesn't document it the same way we countries in the West do. But even if the family of the woman who committed adultery, for example, or who was raped, doesn't punish her, the state will make sure she receives her proper retribution. Take Saudi Arabia, for example, the country Tucker says represents the future.
And I can't wait to go for a glimpse of what the future holds, because that's what you see when you go to the Gulf.
Where the official punishment of the state for adultery is death, traditionally by stoning, and an unmarried woman convicted of adultery can receive up to 100 floggings. And of course, what moral code represents the future better than one according to which acts of homosexuality often lead to imprisonment and even death penalty? Quite a bright future, I would say. The same is true for adultery, sex outside marriage, and homosexuality in countries such as Qatar, Egypt, and Jordan. Qatar, by the way, is the country Tucker said America's relations with are clearly more beneficial than its relations with Israel, the country whose army is currently fighting shoulder to shoulder with American soldiers. Needless to say, the situation for homosexuals, not only women in those countries, isn't any better. Again, the documentation is poor, but in Israel, a liberal society that just happens to be bordering with a society that isn't that liberal, to say the least, that is the Palestinian society, dozens of cases have been documented annually of gay Muslims who flee to Israel seeking asylum due to death threats from family, community, or authorities. But really, this should come as no surprise to us, since according to a survey from Pew Research Center, 86% of Muslims in Egypt, 80% in Jordan, 60% in Pakistan, and 50% in Nigeria support death penalty for apostasy and cutting the hand off for stealing. Similar numbers support stoning people who commit adultery and punishing people who criticize Muhammad or Islam. The same survey shows that 84% of Muslims in South Asia, 74% in the Middle East and North Africa, and 64% in Sub-Saharan Africa support Sharia law as the official law of their country. So, no, Tucker, I wouldn't say submission to God is the whole point of life if you wish to live in an open and liberal society, which Muslim law evidently is utterly incompatible with. As the great Dennis Prager has said, Islam in Arabic means submission to God. Israel in Hebrew means to struggle with God. I would rather struggle with God than only submit to Him.